It was only 26 seconds long, a shaky 8mm home movie shot by a Dallas dressmaker. But when officials inside the White House saw what Abraham Zapruder captured, they realized this wasn't just evidence. It was a national crisis on film. A film so explosive, so graphic, and so revealing that parts of it were locked away for years, and its secrets still ignite controversy today. On a clear November afternoon in 1963, in Dallas, Texas, a man named Abraham Zapruder climbed on a concrete pedestal with a modest Bell & Howell 8mm camera and began filming what he called a family moment. He had no way of knowing that the 26-second home movie he was about to shoot would become one of the most consequential pieces of evidence in modern American history, the Zapruder film, the only known moving image to capture the assassination of President John F. Kennedy in full, from the motorcade's approach through the fatal shots and its aftermath. That small reel of celluloid, just 486 frames long, would become a defining artifact of the Cold War, a touchstone for grief, conflict, and conspiracy, and a lightning rod at the very heart of American culture and politics, including the corridors of the White House itself. The man behind the camera. Abraham Zapruder was not a filmmaker. He was a Russian-born immigrant who had built a modest clothing business in Dallas. On November 22, 1963, he brought his Bell & Howell Zoomatic camera to Dealey Plaza, perched over the parade route, hoping simply to record his grandchildren and perhaps catch a flattering view of the president. But in a moment, the mundane became historic as JFK's motorcade approached. Zapruder began to film. As the limousine came into view, Zapruder's camera captured not only the president and first lady, but also, in horrifying clarity, the fatal shot. Frame 313, the most infamous second in film history, shows Kennedy's head exploding, Jackie reaching out, and a gruesome picture that would haunt generations. How the White House first learned. Almost immediately after the shooting, Zapruder's reaction revealed the emotional weight he felt. According to his granddaughter, Alexandra, he was deeply shaken. The film brought him nothing but heartbreak. He wandered in shock and ultimately met a Secret Service agent who escorted him to a nearby Kodak lab to get the film developed. Zapruder provided 2 copies of the film to government investigators. The Secret Service took one version, and the FBI and other agencies gained access. At the same time, he struck an agreement with Life magazine, selling them the rights for $150,000, on the condition that frame 313 not be reproduced. This moment marked the start of a long, fraught journey for that film. Warren Commission and the evidence. The Zapruder film quickly became a cornerstone of the Warren Commission's investigation into Kennedy's assassination. Commission investigators analyzed it frame by frame. They tried to match the timing of shots, body reactions, trajectory, and positioning. Based on their analysis, they concluded that Lee Oswald Harvey was the lone gunman. But even early on, the film raised uncomfortable questions. The most disturbing was the nature of the headshot. In frame 313, Kennedy's head appears to snap back violently. Some interpreted that backward motion as evidence that the fatal shot came from the front, conflicting with the official account that Oswald fired from behind. Critics offered alternative explanations. Perhaps the motion was optical illusion, or a rebound from a shot delivered moments earlier. The Warren Commission tried to reconcile these observations. Their report even cited frame 225 of the film, noting a reaction in Connolly's body consistent with him being hit while Kennedy was struck. But for many people, the ambiguity in the Zapruder film undermined the certainty of the lone gunman theory. Public access, a sealed secret. For years, the public did not see the full film. Life magazine held the rights, and Zapruder's condition that frame 313 not be published in full stood in place. It wasn't until March 1975 that the film made a televised public debut on ABC's Good Night America, when reporter Geraldo Rivera aired a version in a late-night segment. The broadcast shocked the nation, provoking renewed debate and fresh demands for transparency. In the wake of that exposure, Congress took action. The Assassination Records Review Board was established under the JFK Assassination Records Collection Act of 1992, which ordered the public release of relevant documents and records, including the Zapruder film. White House pressure and politics. Behind the scenes, the film's significance weighed heavily on the White House. President Clinton's administration, for instance, strongly supported the Review Board's work. In 1997, the board unanimously declared the Zapruder film a public assassination record, making the government's copy public property, even though the Zapruder family retained the copyright. At the same time, the board's ability to review and release millions of pages of assassination-related records stirred tension. Clinton asked Congress to extend the board's mandate, citing the complexity of the task and calling it a high priority. Forensic interpretations and conspiracy theories. Over time, analysts have dissected every frame of the Zapruder film. Some studies support the lone gunman conclusion. Others suggest more trouble, echoes of conspiracy. One of the most hotly debated issues remains the back into the left motion in frame 313. Many skeptics argue this supports a frontal shot. On the other hand, proponents of the Warren Commission's findings argue that the recoil motion is consistent with a shot from the rear, citing biomechanical reconstructions and camera studies. In the 1970s, the House Select Committee on Assassinations, HSCA, re-examined the case, citing acoustic evidence that suggested a possible fourth shot from the grassy knoll, the area ahead of Kennedy's car, a theory that, when combined with Zapruder analysis, fueled further speculation. Yet some later scientific evaluations questioned that acoustic evidence, leaving the matter unresolved. Legacy, culture, and the White House today. The Zapruder film's cultural impact only grew. Oliver Stone's 1991 film, JFK, brought it to a new generation, portraying the film's discovery and courtroom display as a dramatic climax. Stone's use of the actual footage, especially frame 313, reignited public debate about whether official conclusions had concealed a broader conspiracy. Meanwhile, the Sixth Floor Museum at Dealey Plaza in Dallas obtained the copyright from the Zapruder family and now holds original transparencies and digital scans of each frame. The National Archives also preserves a copy of the original. In the White House, across administrations, the film has remained a symbol, not only of tragedy, but of accountability and of the unresolved tensions in American memory. The decision in the 1990s to open the film to the public represented a turning point, one in which national leaders acknowledged that certain secrets must yield to history. Why it still matters. More than 6 decades later, the Zapruder film continues to matter for several reasons. First, as a forensic record, it is uniquely unedited and raw. Second, as a political artifact, its release forced transparency, helped shape legislation, and challenged the narrative of power. Third, as a cultural touchstone, it still provokes, divides, and influences. Historians, conspiracy theorists, filmmakers, and ordinary Americans all look back to it, framing their understanding of what happened in Dallas. The White House's role was not passive. Political leaders, lawmakers, and investigators grappled with how much to reveal, how to protect national security, and how to balance public trust with restricted information. In this tension, the Zapruder film became more than just evidence. It became a symbol of both the tragedy of Kennedy's death and the enduring question of what a democratic government owes its people. The 8mm reel that started as a personal snapshot ended up laying bare the fragility of power, the weight of loss, and an unquiet American conscience. And that's something worth remembering when you next reflect on how a few seconds of home movie changed history.